Welcome to another episode of The Art of Volunteering. I couldn't wait to start pressing record because my friend today has a wealth of knowledge regarding the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Philadelphia. So this is my friend, Anthony Stover, and I am, like I said, I'm ecstatic that we're going to get to sit down and talk about the incredible work that Ronald McDonald House Charities worldwide is having on families and youth in the world. So Anthony, like I said, I'm excited to sit down with you. This is going to be like you're kicking off my season. Like you are like episode 1 once I get past my year in review.
Well, Stormy, we're going to have to change your name to Sunshine Bell because the energy that you give, there's nothing stormy about it.
Well, thank you. Anthony has been with the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Philadelphia for over 26 years. He is the community relations manager. And prior to coming to Ronald McDonald House Charities of Philadelphia, he had been the community director at the March of Dimes. He currently serves on 2 boards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Germantown Friends School and the Kendal Crosslands retirement home in Kennett Square. So you are truly passionate about serving your community.
Yes, I was always told to me you can't keep it unless you give it away.
I like that. That's a great way to start this conversation. So let's start with the mission of Ronald McDonald House Charity of Philadelphia, but worldwide. I know this is part of what you do as a community relations manager. So just share with our audience.
Well, the mission of the organization, Ronald McDonald House Charities of Philadelphia, which is the world's first Ronald McDonald House, last October 15th, 2024, we celebrated our 50th anniversary. But our mission, Stormy, is bringing comfort and hope to families of seriously ill children. And this is provided to families all over the world. As you know, Philadelphia is a mecca for pediatric care with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, the Shriners, which is only 9 in the country, St. Christopher's Hospital, and Will's Eye for Children. The world comes to Philadelphia. When they come to Philadelphia, they need a place to stay, and that's what we do at the Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House.
That's awesome. What does it look like for a family who comes to Ronald McDonald House? What their child is facing a crisis per se, if they're going to be coming to one of the heavy hitters of medical institutions for children. How do you step in the gap? What does that look like?
Well, in most cases, a family that's dealing with a seriously ill child is not the child that's seriously ill. The family as a whole is seriously ill. And they don't know anything about the Ronald McDonald House. Normally, unless they've done some research in regards to the internet, and they're coming to Philadelphia to use one of our hospitals, and they hear about where places you can stay, they might see something there. But normally the relationship is created with the social workers at the hospital. And the social workers will notify us in regards to our social workers and their workout details. And if the space is available, or they would go on a waiting list until the space becomes available, the Ronald McDonald House is made available to them. And what it does for them, one, every family that stays at the Ronald McDonald House has their own private room. And in their own private room, they can have up to 5 family members. However way that's composed, it could be mom and dad and 3 kids, grandma and 4 kids, whatever way that is. Inside that room, they have their own private bathroom. And outside of the bathroom, there's 2 additional sinks because they have appointments in the morning and we don't want them to be late. Inside the room, there's 2 50-inch TVs. So after going back and forth to the hospital all day, mom and dad, or the guardian might be overwhelmed and tired, where the siblings that are with mom and dad are still a little rambunctious so they can go to their side of the room, and etc. Also, there's a refrigerator in the room, but we don't allow food in the room. The refrigerator is for milk. Breast milk, water, and medicine. We don't allow food in the room. I mean, we cover 150 families a night. We do that between 2 houses. One house, our main house, that services children. Hospital is 127 rooms. And then we have a second house that we built near the Shriners Hospital. That's 20 rooms. That gets us up to 147. And then we purchased 3 rooms at the Sheraton next to the hospital to get us a little over. So we serve up to 150 families. Besides the accommodation, other things that we do for families. Stormy, if families can afford to be at the Ronald McDonald House, it's $25 a night. If they cannot afford to be at the Ronald McDonald House, it's nothing. We've never turned a family away because of their inability to pay and never will. We offer, if they're going to be there for a long-term stay, we offer education for the siblings where our teachers will work directly with their schools or use our own curriculum if we have to. Uh, we pro- our families that stay at the Ronald McDonald House. So some of our families could stay at the top best accommodations in Philadelphia, the Four Seasons, the Ritz Carlton, no questions asked. But then we have families, if it wasn't for the Ronald McDonald House, might be sleeping in their car if they had one. Who knows what their situation might be? But the therapeutic value of families that are experiencing the same thing is what makes up our community at the Ronald McDonald House. So in some cases, I had shared earlier before that will help a family maybe pay a mortgage, get airline tickets, uh, get a car fixed. Because again, our mission is for these families not to worry about nothing but the welfare of that seriously ill child. And through our corporate partners and friends, and we can take care of everything else. Another thing I want to share too is siblings. Siblings are very, very important. Siblings are kind of forgotten about the family because all that attention is on that seriously ill child. So when siblings check in the house, they get a new toy. If they're a teenager, they get a gift card or something like that. Everything that's going on in the city of Philadelphia, our museums, the zoo, the police tut, is all available to them, free passes throughout the day. All of our sporting teams, the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, they get to go to the game. If it's their birthday, we throw a mean birthday party in a couple hours. I shared with you about the academic excellence that we continue with our teachers or staff while they're out of school. And kids seem to love it at the Ronald McDonald House, along with their families. And again, not only do we give them the occupancy of a place to stay and a place to sleep, we also give them things like mindfulness with our social workers. Uh, um, you know, areas around the house where they can meditate. We have a gym with Peloton and weights and workout. So we try to fill the whole picture as they're dealing with something that no one should have to deal with in regards to a seriously ill child.
Wow, that's amazing. You do so much to stand in that gap. Let me ask you about this. It's the art of volunteering. How do volunteers fit into your model of serving these families?
Well, Stormy, as you know, with probably most of the organizations that you talk to, volunteers are the backbone of what we do. We're a nonprofit. We're covering 150 families times five a night. We can feed breakfast, lunch, and dinner to 500 people a day. And that's not McDonald's, friend. That's, four-course dinners, healthy, yada, yada, yada. And we have a small staff, but we have a large volunteer pool capacity. Our volunteers work from 9 o'clock at night. I'm sorry, 9 a.m. in the morning until 9 o'clock at night throughout that 12-hour shift, 7 days a week, and sometimes beyond that through events and fundraising that we do for the house. I think where we're at right now is we have over 300 volunteers and 70 employees. So again, volunteers are the backbone of what we do. And the volunteers are a major part of our motto and being the house that loved them.
Do your volunteers do they have to have any special type of qualifications? Like let's just use the students using your education, your teachers. Are they paid teachers or are they volunteer teachers?
No, they're staff teachers.
They're staff teachers.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're staff teachers. But our volunteers is, like you take your home or you take a small company and everything you need for that. That's what our volunteers are. We have volunteers that work the front desk and engage the families and then get them acclimated to the city of Philadelphia and the Ronald McDonald House. We have volunteers that work in the accounting office. We have volunteers that work in the facilities office. We have volunteers that work in the kitchen and preparing foods and things like that. We have volunteers that work our special events. We have episodical volunteers. We have volunteers that act as ambassadors. And when I'm overwhelmed with events and stuff like that, as you well saw, we're together today. We have ambassadors that can go out and speak on the Ronald McDonald House and cover events for us. So I would not want to know how we would operate without our volunteers, and I don't know if we would be operating without our volunteers. Volunteers again are the backbone and a very important part of what we do. And I'm getting very, very excited because April 6th we celebrate our Volunteer Appreciation Day, and this year it's at Live Casino, and we just celebrate all our volunteers. It's a wonderful
That's
evening.
right, because April's National Volunteering Month.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. It's the anniversary of this podcast. We started in April. Yeah. So, what drew you to this mission? Like, what about this whole enterprise spoke to you and said, "I want to be a part of this"?
That's a good question. If I candid and honest with you, I was a foster child. I was homeless in high school. I graduated high school. The next day I was in the Marine Corps. I was an air traffic controller with communication skills and all like that. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I just started working with children. And it's funny how things work out. I mean, you saw some of the boards I've served on the Support Center for Child Advocacy, which is the oldest child advocacy in the country. Being at the Ronald McDonald House over 26 years, you know, I'm I consider myself an elder now, but you know what? I was in a lot of those shoes, and it's I don't know. I think that's the answer to your question.
Okay, very good. All right, I have two questions, and I'm going to go circle back, and then we're going to move forward. So, um, can you share a story of impact from your time at the Ronald McDonald House? Something where you can share, like a story of somehow where you directly saw what you do or what your volunteers do, and how it directly impacted a family's life. Like, is there a particular family or scenario that just bubbles to the top that you'd like to share?
Wow, there's so many of them. There's so many of them. There's just so many of them. I'll talk about at the Ronald McDonald House, our families come from all over the world. And 2 summers ago, on a Saturday morning, volunteers were in the kitchen doing breakfast. There were 5 kids, and I would say the kids were 8 years and under from 5 different countries. And for an hour and a half, not speaking the same language, none of these kids, I watched them play for an hour and a half. And it was just so amazing, so adorable. One of them had lost one of their legs, and they were running around. It was just that story always sticks with me.
Oh, I love it. That's just such a beautiful picture of the testimony of what you and the volunteers and Ronald McDonald House is doing. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my other question. You've touched on it slightly, but can you talk to me like a little bit more about your volunteer journey? Like, when did you realize that volunteering was part of who you are?
What I think volunteering has always been a part of me ever since I can remember. Before it was officially you put that label on, but I can remember as a kid. I'm old school. Yes, ma'am. Please. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And just giving up your seat on the bus or helping carry groceries or shoveling snow and doing it for free, not doing it for, nothing like that. So I just think it's always been a part of who I am.
That's awesome.
And hopefully it'll be a part of for the rest of who
Well,
I am.
I hope that that's
Mhm.
the way it is. Um, I can't believe we've been talking for like almost a half hour. Oh my goodness. You have been a volunteer for almost 3 decades. Can you share a blooper? Something that didn't necessarily go wrong. It just didn't go as planned. And what was the lesson learned?
Um, I again, there's a number of those too. And what I could say is the lesson learned is that the biggest room in my life is the room for improvement. Even though I've got over 30 decades of volunteering and giving back, um, there's always room for improvement in my life. Uh, and I would leave it at that.
Okay. That's a beautiful thing. Um, I think all of us can attest to that there's always room for improvement.
Yes, yes.
Before we wrap up, because I'm going to give you the mic to love on Ronald McDonald House, but is there anything that you'd like to share about who you are, what you do that we didn't cover?
Yeah, you know what I'd like to share is that I hope your blog, your podcast, your business just gets out to the masses. I think we need more of this. I mean, our community, our country, our world is in a very, very tough place right now. And we all have the gift of volunteering. And the gift of volunteering is just so simple and being my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper, my neighbor, and I think that's the answer in changing the value system, the morals. I'm not saying changing what you believe in what you want to believe, but let it be morally right, not just for yourself, but for somebody else. And I think volunteering does that. It's giving of yourself. And one of the things I'll say this in closing, Stormy, is that I like to tell people all the time, I've got the best job in the world. And not for monetary reasons. I work for a nonprofit. However, when I'm having a bad day and things aren't going Anthony's way, I get to work, and any of those families of seriously ill children are more than happy to trade places for my bad day for a healthy child. And that keeps me centered, it keeps me grounded, it lets me know how blessed I am. And through volunteering, you can have that same experience when you're having a bad day because you're not putting your bad day to the side, but you're focusing on supporting somebody else, which I think adds a little value to your bad day.
I love it. Yes, I am in such agreement with that. So, um, so with that, you've done what I was going to ask you to do. I'm going to give you the mic to love on them. Just love the families, the volunteers, your mission. Love on it.
Well, the first thing I would say is that Google the Ronald McDonald House, no matter where you're at in the world. We're in 62 different countries. Google the Ronald McDonald House, and you're going to say, "Wow, Anthony didn't say nothing." Also, too, on March the 28th, we just released a movie. It's called Audrey's Children. It's about our founder, Dr. Audrey Evans, who was from Scotland, and as a little girl, she had tuberculosis and a speech impediment, and she overcame that and went to medical school. And in medical school, she was the only woman there and overcame that and became the first woman in America to be appointed to run a major hospital, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And her specialty was neuroblastoma, which is a children's eye cancer. And in the 70s, it was the leading killer of children that had cancer, the neuroblastoma. And through her research and through her work, in the 70s, 90% of the kids that had neuroblastoma was fatal. Today, 80% of the kids that have neuroblastoma is in remission. She was an equestrian. At 92 years old, she was still entertaining residents at her home. At 94, again, I shared she was from Scotland, and the Philadelphia Scottish Society was celebrating their 219th birthday, and I accompanied her to the event. to be the keynote speaker. And at 94, she walked up to the stage by herself, glass of wine in one hand, and gave the most moving speech. She started a school in a very underserved area of North Philadelphia where the kids go to school 10 months a year, 10 hours a day, double math, double science, double English, 100% graduation. And in 2022, at the age of 97, she transitions to heaven. We did a movie about it. It's called Audrey's Children, and it comes out March 28th. In its space, it won the #1 movie at the Cannes Film Festival, and in its space, it won the #1 movie at the Tribeca Film Festival. I've seen the movie. All you need is I would say some tissues when you go to see the movie. It's amazing. And, I shared with you earlier, we call the Ronald McDonald House the house that love built. And from the mustard seed that started in Philadelphia 50 years ago, 7 families, we're now 62 countries, millions of families. And, and it goes back to when, I was sharing about, some of the challenging things in the world right now. When I was in the space of these 5 kids from around the world that entertain each other with smiles and joy for 5 hours. I mean, for a few hours, not speaking the same way. That's the love.
Mm, I love what you just said. Thank you. All right, Anthony, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you, Stormy.
It was an honor to sit down with you. Like I said, I've enjoyed our friendship, and I so appreciate the mission of Ronald McDonald House, Philadelphia, and around the world. We will share links from so people can find out more about Ronald McDonald House. See if we can put some information about the Audrey's. You said Audrey's children.
Audrey's Children, March
Audrey's
28th.
children. We'll see if
Yeah.
we can put some information of that in our show notes when this episode airs.
And if any of your guests, colleagues, what have you, that's in the Philadelphia surrounding areas would like me to come and speak,
Okay.
that I can do.
Oh, we will make that available as well to the listeners.
Now, where are you located, Stormy?
I'm actually in Chester County, just outside of Philadelphia.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Someday I'm going to get down for a tour.
Well, whenever you're ready, you'll get
I
the
know.
VIP tour.
I appreciate that. All right. To my audience who wants to come on this tour with me, thank you for listening. I know you found value in today's conversation. So wherever you listen, please rate and review it because it helps other people be motivated to transform the fabric of our society to be a better version of who we are. So see you next time on The Art of Volunteering. Have an amazing day.